situation is going from bad to worse in Washington, D.C. I want you to read my column today at WND.com. It'll be posted on freedomwatchusa.org and also on americasheriff.org, the two organizations that I run, americasheriff.org, along with Sheriff Joe Arpaio, a great American hero and patriot. I'm suggesting that we move the capital from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We can even deconstruct the White House and build it back up there. The Supreme Court used to be in Independence Hall. And I suggest that we do that for one basic reason. We need to go back to our roots. We need to go back to the conception and the creation of our founding fathers at Independence Hall on July 4th, 1776. Now, yes, Philadelphia is very leftist and it's corrupt. But if we go back, we the people, we can take control of Philadelphia. We can squeeze the leftists out. I already have lawsuits against them. We have lawsuits against the mayor, against the police chief, Danielle Outlaw, great name, and also the district attorney, Larry Krasner, who was elected with Soros money. We can squeeze them out. But we need to just basically abandon Washington, D.C., I think, because it has become so corrupt. It's no longer a swamp. It's really a cesspool. And that cesspool is something, frankly, which has become so endemic that there's no way to cure it. It's like toxic waste. It's like nuclear radiation. It just gives off something which is very dangerous. So I think it would be a good start. And let me give you an example, just the latest example of why that needs to happen. Nobody has respect for Congress anymore, and even the Republican establishment. What have they done? Who have they held accountable? They haven't even passed an alternative to Obamacare, and they controlled the Senate. And for a while, they also controlled the House of Representatives. And this is something which the American people are disgusted about. And that's why President Trump was elected, because they knew that the Republican establishment were a bunch of worthless cowards that do almost nothing. Simply appointing and confirming Supreme Court justices. I mean, frankly, I don't really care who's on the Supreme Court because it doesn't matter. There are a bunch of political hacks up there. And as far as I'm concerned, I follow the rule of law and the Constitution. I don't care what they rule. And I'll follow the rule of God. And some of the conservative justices, not Thomas and not Alito, but for instance, Kavanaugh, he's turned left. You've got Roberts, the Chief Justice. He's turned left. So, the fact that you think they're going to be great up there, forget that. The American people need to do it for themselves. And we need to ourselves reestablish a government, a new government in Washington, D.C., by and for the people, as we did in 1776, under natural law and the rule of God, and under our real Constitution. And that's where it all began, and that's where it all must end right now. But Nancy Pelosi, just in the last few days, has proposed, she's more than crazy. She's an evil witch. She's a pathological liar, and she is the representative. She's the titular head of the Democratic Party and also the radical left, with her little munchkins. Her munchkins, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilham Omar, radical Muslims, radicals of every group basically have infested that capital. It's like a bunch of cockroaches that have taken over, and frankly, it's harmful. Now, what does she have in mind? She's not even willing to wait for the election. The odds are the president's not going to win the election at this point in time. The bad handling of COVID-19, I don't care what they say, it was badly handled. But, of course, the Democrats would have handled it even worse, and they would have established Soviet gulag total control over our lives. But the middle 20% of this country have been turned off by the president, and that's a problem. That's really a problem. He didn't comport himself well in the last 4 years. He's done a lot of great things with Israel and with Iran and with the economy and all kinds of other things. But the reality is that the American people vote against people. They don't vote for people. That's how you wound up with George W. Bush, with Clinton. It's how you wound up with Obama. It's a reaction because, frankly, the American people are not that well educated. You are, and we're trying to educate them, and that's why we need this show. But Nancy Pelosi now has introduced a bill to effectively remove the president over his conduct concerning COVID-19 and otherwise. She is worse than an evil witch. And this is why we, the American people, need to rise up ourselves, whether it's filing class action lawsuits against the communist Chinese or protecting the police or ourselves establishing our own justice system, which is part of the rule of law in our Constitution. And that's why I want you to go out and buy my book, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. You can buy it at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, all major booksellers online. That is the manifesto to save this country. But the message for today is, let's get the hell out of Washington, D.C., and let's start a new government by and for the people in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. God bless you. I'll be back Monday with another special podcast. Listen to my weekly radio show at radioamerica.com, and you can find it at freedomwatchusa.org. It's podcast. Stay safe, stay good, stay pure to your belief in God and his son, and ultimately we will prevail, just like the colonialists prevailed against King George III. Thank you for listening to me.
Regina King for Cadillac Escalade.
Let's say you make it to the top. What's next? Relish in the glory of your accomplishments? Okay, sure, for a minute. But then you move forward. Take the 2021 Escalade. Cadillac's newest arrival is more than just a celebration of iconic luxury. It's the most technologically advanced Escalade ever. Because arriving is just the beginning.
The 2021 Cadillac Escalade. Never stop arriving.